Dan Batard gave us a thought-provoking tweet. Paulie brought it up. Of course, Paulie very defensive about J.J. Watt last night. All of a sudden, he's tweeting to defend J.J. Watt. Batard says, J.J. Watt so badly wants to appear to be the thing he thinks you want your sports hero to be. Dan joins us now. How would you explain that, Dan?
Well, a lot of people read that and heard it and felt it, and then all of a sudden, as so often happens in sports, it becomes a fight because they say it's hating because anything that feels like it's on the cusp of criticism in the absolute world we do of mythologizing our sports heroes, you can't just talk about things by degrees. I become a hater. All I was saying, Dan, and this is interesting to me because J.J. Watt finds himself in a real interesting place here. Everyone loves the guy who works hard. Nobody loves the guy intent on telling you how hard he works. And that's where J.J. Watt is. He's straddling that line where we all love the guy who works really, really hard, and none of us like the guy who's out there telling us that he sweats better than you.
But is it Watt or the coverage of Watt?
Oh, but he's feeding it. He's not an innocent here, Dan. Like, it's the coverage of Watt, yes. It's part that, because by himself, his excellence is interesting. He's great at what he does for a living. But as a personality, he's not terribly interesting. So when SportsCenter does the feature on him, of course, they throw him on a horse and give him a flag and put him in a cowboy hat, and we dress him up. Like, we do this all the time in sports. The best thing to be is Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, sort of bland and hugely excellent, and then we'll write your story for you. But he's feeding us, I work in the Siberian countryside carrying logs like Rocky, and then we go and check out the log cabin, and it's got an elevator in it.
But is this any different than Jeter or Russell Wilson?
Is it any different? Well, Jeter and Russell Wilson don't do a whole lot of showing you and telling you how hard they work. I mean, it's the same neighborhood. But J.J. Watt is Derek Jeter and Russell Wilson have never had the incident that J.J. Watt had last year with the selfie where he was, the guy protecting sportsmanship. I mean, Russell Wilson and Derek Jeter haven't had a moment in their career where they're the guy castigating the rookie quarterback about, this is the NFL, boy, we don't play like that here.
Do you think Watt is self-aware?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know him well enough to know that. I don't know whether he is consciously feeding the machine. And he's allowed, by the way. It sells. Like, I hope this doesn't feel like I'm not anti-J.J. Watt at all. He's hugely great. He is fun to watch. He is a spectacle. The idea that he's scoring touchdowns as a defensive end is crazy to me. So I don't want any of this to sound like I'm coming after J.J. Watt. What I tend to come after, Dan, is the mythologizing we do around our athletes, because what inevitably happens here is if you keep buying this on J.J. Watt in 100% purity form of he's the mythological superhero god that you want him to be, eventually you'll turn on him the way you did on Tiger Woods and feel betrayed, even though all he was doing was making commercials.
What about Tim Tebow? Did we mythologize him and then we turned on him?
Oh, well, that was sort of a different one, right? That's the debate between, science and religion, and that's just a bigger conversation in this country. I guess what I would wonder if I ask your audience, it's real hard to please the consensus of the sports audience, but if I were to ask your audience, who do you like? Who do you like more, Marshawn Lynch or J.J. Watt? It's an interesting conversation about what you prefer your sports personalities to be. Do you want them to be antiseptic superheroes who feed all the hard work that America feels it was built on, or do you want them to just be 100% authentic? A lot of people are going to choose Marshawn Lynch in that spot, and a lot of people are going to find him polarizing. And over on the other extreme, you're going to find some of that with J.J. Watt.
Are you curious about J.J. Watt behind the curtain?
I am, if I could get a real look. If I could get something. I fear that it wouldn't be that interesting. That it would be, just he's a really hard worker who is lopsided because you have to be excellent in that sport or at anything. And maybe he is just all about jumping on plyometric boxes as a superhuman athlete freak. But yeah, I would be interested to see a real, authentic look, because even we interviewed him on television when he was coming out of college, and he just seemed to be sticking to script. Like he was just talking in the robotic way that Russell Wilson does. Maybe it's something about Wisconsin. Maybe it's something about how they build their athletes over there. I wish they were more like Aaron Rodgers, all of them.
Well, but I also think you do have athletes do sort of craft their own image. You'll find guys that they're religious in the public, but privately they're not. Like, they'll give you that. And I'm not talking about Tebow. There are a lot of athletes who find God just for the public. And then privately, they're not like that. So I think we do have people that athletes, well, like anybody, they craft their image with what they want you to consume with them.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, Dan. We are inconsistent. We are human. Images are perfect, and sometimes we're buying the image and we're neglecting the human. So, I look at what it is that's happening with J.J. Watt, and some of it feels, and keep in mind, we're real interesting the way that we do this. You explained to me how this one happened. Why was it that we didn't believe that A-Rod was doing anything other, and this was before all the nonsense of the last 5-10 years. Why was there a suspicion of lack of authenticity? Now, I'm not saying J.J. Watt is there. I'm not saying that, but I felt some of that last night while watching Hard Knocks, where I'm like, wow, this feels like we're making a commercial for J.J. Watt. Like, this doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels made for television. And so you just got to be careful with that, because for some reason we did that. We sniffed that one out on A-Rod early, where we just didn't feel it was authentic.
It almost felt like a truck commercial last night.
Right. Well, that's the kind J.J. Watt wants to do. That's what he's auditioning for. It felt like Hard Knocks, the NFL, HBO worked together to see if they could get him a truck commercial last night.
Well, they may have done just that. He's got to get one, though, with those big tires that he can fit the tires on the truck. Then
but
it drives
the right way. It drives only the way that it's supposed to. Within the rules, it drives at maximum speeds within the rules.
No, you got to get a deeper voice than that, Dan.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Yeah. What are you talking about today on your show?
Probably this. I mean, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let Bomani weigh in on this. Maybe JJ calls in.
Well, here's the thing, though. You tell me, because, see, I feel like here's what I get, right?
Okay.
And it's conflicting to me, because then I get, contrarian. And, like, I understand why he's popular, and I understand how great he is. Like, I don't want to be painted as the J.J. Watt skeptic. I'm just watching last night, and my visceral response was, is this for real? And it's not like to throw up in a bucket and say, is this for real? It's to legitimately question, wait a minute, is what I'm watching real? And of course, that gets me clubbed, because now I'm the guy who's, anti-angels.
Is Tom Brady real?
Well, see, that's an interesting one, because I feel like Tom Brady's the one in that entire mess who's most credible. Yeah, I feel like this one's funny to watch, as all these people in what looks like the same dark suit walk into this courtroom in New York. In all of these people that we're talking to, it feels to me like Tom Brady is the most authentic, or you give me the guy who's more authentic than Tom Brady. Among everyone who's in this mess, who's more credible than Tom Brady?
Yeah, but that's not a great list, though, to compare Brady to.
I understand, but when we're talking about the credibility and who we believe, no, you're right. It's not a great list.
But he's fighting. He's got more to fight for personally. Nobody else has more to fight for personally. So he comes off as more authentic.
I also just believe him more, even though he's got the most reason to lie. I also just happen to believe him more. Maybe that makes me an idiot, and maybe it makes me gullible, because we do tend to believe the worst in people, right?
Yep.
So Yeah, I watch this and I just believe him the most, and I particularly like that he's not moving off his position. Like the NFL's like, oh, come on, Tom, just give us a sentence of I'm sorry, and he's like, go bleep yourselves.
Tune in later today as Dan Le Batard rips Mom, apple pie, and Chevrolet.
Puppies, babies. What else am I going to go after?
Thank you, Dan.
Toddlers.
Oh, Le Batard.